I've been finding out how loneliness affects almost 1 in 10 people in Britain today.
It's just a feeling as though you don't want to be here anymore.
And I don't have anybody to go, you're fine, we'll do this together.
We're now one of the loneliest places to live in Europe.
Do we really care what happens next door? Do we really understand what happens over the road?
Nobody would notice if I disappeared, and just feeling like you have nobody to share life with, really.
There are people suffering in silence all over the country.
Nobody can tell you how it really feels, because there's no word to express it.
Makes me think of my grandparents, what they went through when, you know, my grandmother lost my granddad, all those times she must have spent at home.
But since he went, I just can't cope.
I'm convinced the answer lies in the community.
We could all make a huge difference here.
So I'm recruiting a few friends to take me back to the communities where they grew up.
And the people.
To find out if a bit of good old community spirit can make a real and lasting difference.
We need laughter back in our lives. We just have a giggle and that makes it.
It's going to become easier.
More than I expected, really.
And it's liberating, really liberating to think, oh, it's cool.
Southend-on-Sea in Essex was originally the south end of a small town called Prittlewell. It's now home to the world's longest pier. With 170,000 residents, Southend is one of the UK's most densely populated areas outside of London, with almost a third of locals aged over 55. It's also home to TV favourite Dominic Littlewood, who remembers it well.
The main thing about Southend is the fact it's got an amazing beach. From Shoebury right up to Old Leon-sea, it's an area which, as a kid, it was great growing up down there. You had the arcades, which, of course, when you're young, you used to love going down here. I was one of those kids who got out and had good fun around here, and nearly all my memories, I say nearly all of them were pretty good.
So when you were brought up here, did you have any aspirations to leave here?
What I found, and this is probably the same throughout the country, most people in Southend tend to stay here. I mean, my sister's been here all her life and she won't move.
This is the street that you were brought up on. When was the last time you were here?
40 years ago. The street looks very similar. That's the house I was born in.
Was there a sense of community? I suppose there was.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, big sense of community. My parents lived there. There was Pat and Bernard Lovell, who lived next door, and there was a lady up there who became my mum's best friend called Margaret Dye. Right. In Keith Way, the next road along, there was a lady there. She had 2 gorgeous daughters. I'd love to bump into them again, but I doubt they're there. Down that particular road, Beverley Gardens, there was a family that had a couple of lads at the end of the garden, and it was one of those growing up, we didn't like them, they didn't like us, and we regularly had stone fights, stones, we throwing pebbles at each other, and, it's childish stuff, isn't it? But we were able to hang over, I say we, my sisters and brother, we were able to hang over the fence there, and if they were coming down the street, we used to bombard them and hit them, and of course they didn't have a lot of luck getting back to us, because it's probably a 2-metre high fence that now, so we dropped down and, it was nothing serious, it was all good fun.
What I find amazing on this journey is the fact that a lot of people don't really know what goes on 10 doors away, really. They kind of know the person next to them. So the idea being, what I want to do is bring this sort of community spirit together like it was when you used to live here. So I want you to knock on a few doors, and it'll be surprising for you and interesting, and then we'll meet up later and bring all those people together, and then you kind of see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
And, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Good, I'll see you later.
Right.
Mind you, knowing the kind of little rogue that Dom was when he lived here, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's locked their doors and hid behind the curtains.
Did they hear I was coming?
Dom's not having much luck, but finally, perseverance pays off.
Afternoon.
Oh, hello, Dominic.
Oh,
How are you?
yeah,
I did, yeah.
I'm Jessie. And Annette.
Come closer. I have had a shower this morning. Hello there, lovely. Hello. You've got a smashing smile. I'm not after your money, I was going to shake your hand. Oh, no, give me your money.
I just remember playing with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Dominic.
Yes.
Yeah, we were little.
Well, I like the area. It's nice and quiet and peaceful, and I like the position,
How long have you lived here for?
My dad bought the house in 1936, I think it was, and I came here then.
You've been here 55, 56 years.
1950.
I'm doing a sort of get-together this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you later.
Yeah, okay.
Cheerio, ladies. Do you know celebrity chef James Martin?
Yes.
He's going to be there.
Oh, is he? Oh, I'll go and have a sandwich then.
Right, you're the best. See you later on, yeah?
5 o'clock.
Cheers, Laurie.
Thank
Bye,
you.
mate.
Bye.
The plan is to invite the neighbours to get to know each other a little better over a cuppa and a cake. But we'll also invite charities and organisations along who are active in bringing communities together.
Hopefully I'll see you later on, yeah? Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Dom really wants one of his old family friends to be there.
Hello. Hello. Margaret. Hello, can I come in? Is that right? Hello, lovely. How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Right, you're still smiling as you always did.
Yes.
You've always had that really...
Dom's known Margaret since he was a boy. She was one of Dom's mum's best friends, but recently she sadly lost her husband.
And how's things in general?
You still grieve, you know, it comes out later.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
Do you still keep in contact with much of the neighbours?
Yes, all the ones that are nearby, but they all go to work during the day.
Do you get a little bit lonely?
Oh, all the time.
Right.
Lonely.
And what do you do when you get lonely?
I watch a lot of television.
Right.
And I read.
Yeah.
And I keep going.
You've obviously got a lot of support around you, people who know you and love you because you've been there for so long. If that wasn't there, how would you feel right
I'd be
now?
lost.
Yeah.
I'd be lost. I would definitely move then.
And then you move, you've got to start fresh, haven't you?
Start fresh, yeah. I would have to. I couldn't manage without the support that I get from my neighbours.
It's lovely to see you.
God bless you.
Cheers, Margaret.
Cheers.
Mwah.
Bye.
Take care, lovely. Bye-bye.
Margaret's lucky to have her family and good neighbours around her. But isolation is a massive problem for thousands of people across the UK. And it can be caused by all sorts of circumstances.
And recent studies suggest older men are particularly vulnerable and least likely, of course, to talk about it.
The number of elderly men living on their own in the UK is increasing. In the next 15 years, the figure could be as high as 1.5 million. Stan was married to Vicky for 65 years. She was his lifelong love, but when she died 11 months ago, Stan was left only with his memories. He used to be active, a keen runner, competing in competitions and training other athletes. Despite running well into his 70s, since losing Vicky, Stan's lost the will to continue his activities.
Suddenly, I went from looking after her for nearly 10 years to suddenly having no one to look after, except myself, which is no joy to me. What I'm doing indoors now is just watching the clock. It's a case of another hour, I can have another coffee and things like that. So very recently, I sat here for 3 days out in the garden and I didn't do anything. There was plenty of things that I should have been doing and I didn't. It's just a black hole. I feel empty all the time. I feel like a shell of my former self. I can't visualise that I'm going to come out of it. Where do I go? For all these years, I've been going somewhere with Vicky and sitting there with her. In restaurants or to have a bit of grub out or something like that. And I go in and I sit down and I look around and I think everybody's in pairs or threes or fours. There's very few people sitting on their own. So it's not enjoyable. It's not a case of treat yourself. It's a case of wasting time. She was just about the most perfect wife I could have ever had. She really was. She was kindness itself.
So how did you two meet?
I was in the Navy and I was coming backwards and forwards to Germany all the time. So as soon as I walked into a dance hall in Southend and the first words I heard Vicky say was, "Who is that bloody sailor?" We got together that night and we never looked back. It was great, yeah.
At the age of 74, Vicky developed dementia and Stan became a full-time carer for the next 10 years. After such a long time, it became too difficult for Stan to handle on his own, and Vicky was moved to a care home.
I was going visiting her, and every time I went there, she cried, she wanted to come home with me, and she used to bang on the windows there when I came out, and she'd say to me, "I'll scream," and she'd scream, and I could hear her screaming all the time I was walking away every time. It was terrible, it was terrible.
Vicky passed away in January 2014, after spending just less than a year in the home.
I stayed with her until she passed away, actually. I never left her. I stayed in the home, I didn't come home at all.
After Vicky's death, Stan couldn't connect to any part of his previous life.
Even the house is a shell. I mean, it's always been home. I just had nothing in me. And to be truthful, and I am being very truthful about it, is if I could have gone along with Vicky, that would have been wonderful for me. And it would have solved all my problems. Life seems largely pointless. It does for me now.
Men who live on their own are at the highest risk of reporting themselves to be seriously lonely, and in particular it's older men who live on their own. And what we've also found is that men are less likely to be in contact with their children, with their wider family and with their friends. So if they become bereaved and they lose their wife, who's the social glue in the relationship, they also lose those wider connections, so it's a real double whammy. If you've been used to going through a door with a partner, going everywhere together, and you now have to go through that door on your own, that's quite a big step to take.
Even to the allotment, the first tomatoes, the first strawberries, the first run of beans, I used to bring in, and it was always, you know, a bit of joy. Look at this, and you've got someone to share it with. Now I've got no one to share it with.
Having been speaking to Stan, it's kind of heartbreaking that he feels that there's nothing to live for. Not least because he's such a great guy and others can benefit so much from what he has to offer. And I hope that he comes to the event later, and I really hope that I can introduce him to someone who will give him a little bit of his spark back.
If you feel in a similar position to Stan, there are people who would be only too happy to help. I'm convinced that for Stan, his athletic past could be the secret to unlocking a better future for him. All over the country, people join walking groups. Not just for exercise, but company. And here in Southend, there's a particular group designed to put the spring back into people's steps.
Really, just keep that going for me.
Simply Stride is all about walking sessions for people from all different kind of backgrounds, and very important for confidence building for those people that either physically have been impaired in some way, or for those that, you know, really emotionally they need to improve themselves, the way that they feel. Confidence really underpins everything that you do. You know, it can stop you from going out the front door. It can stop you from, you know, just doing your daily activities. You know, going to the shops and buying a newspaper or a loaf of bread can be, you know, such a huge hurdle.
It's lack of motivation. It's
yeah.
Just wanting to do something.
Yes.
This will help people.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes them feel so much better about themselves and stronger, you know, emotionally as well, for definite. Just by meeting people and having that social interaction as well, it just reinforces it, it empowers you, you know, engages you and just makes you feel good. So, yeah, such a strong thing about, you know, the confidence side.
Now, I've met an amazing bloke today.
Okay.
And 65 years of marriage. His wife then suffered from dementia. He was then the carer. I think something like your organisation may be able to help him. Fitness was a huge thing for him, and was teaching young kids how to run and athletics as well. But I think it's the confidence thing.
I think having that time in his diary each week, knowing that he's coming out and meeting that group of people that he can provide his experience to, his knowledge base and everything, will empower him and make him feel more confident. And the whole social aspect of it is great. As you're walking along, not only are you making that hour the best fitness time for yourself, health and fitness, but you're also having a great social situation, having a laugh, you know, having great rapport with everybody, and we all love chatting as well, all of our coaches do. You can see his world going from this very slowly and gradually as he evolves and progresses and gets more confident in becoming so much more for him. So, yeah, just from this walking group.
One of the main things I've learned so far is what a great resource people can be. People who are lonely often have fascinating life stories or unique skills. They just don't have anyone to share them with. By creating community events, I've managed to team people up and get conversations started that continue long after I've left. I really hope Dom can create a similar feel here in Southend. The trouble is, Dom seems to be more focused on tracking down those two sisters he told me about.
Dominic.
Sheila!
Little Dominic.
Little Dominic?
Hello, love.
How are you, lovely?
Lovely.
Oh. And how's your daughter?
My daughter?
Yes.
Which one? Gillian.
Gillian.
Young. Oh,
I used to
Gillian.
fancy her.
She's a director of medical
Oh, I thought you were going to say TV company then. I was going to know.
Yeah, and Adrian, do you remember Adrian? She's a medic.
I remember Gillian better. I remember as a young lad,
Gillian,
I used to have the hots for her.
Yeah, she's got 2 boys.
Do you ever feel lonely?
I'm not lonely, Dominic.
Well, I'm really pleased
Because
to hear
I'm
that.
able to get out and things. It'd be very different if I wasn't active and mobile.
Sheila.
Such a little boy when I knew you.
Was I a good little boy? Cheers, Sheila. See you later on. Bye-bye.
I've invited Sheila along, as I think she could be a great tonic for some others of her generation who are not as lucky to have a network of friends and family around them. And for Dom, there's one door he can't resist knocking on: his old family home.
This has been a trip down memory lane for me. It hasn't changed much, I can tell you that. Hello. Are you the house owner?
I am.
What's your name?
Jan.
Jan, I'm Dominic Littlewood.
Hello.
Hello there. Sorry knocking your door, the film crew behind us here. I was born in this house.
Yes, I heard that.
Can I be really nosy? Come and have a look round?
Yes.
Is that all right?
You can,
Thanks ever so much. This is really amazing for me. I remember so much of this as well.
Yeah, come in.
We used to have chores and I used to have to sweep these stairs. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. I remember this very well. That's, that's where I came into this world. Right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I won't feel the same again sleeping in here, will I?
Jan, been a pleasure.
Yes.
See you later on, yeah?
Meet you. Yes.
See
See
you
you
later.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Got a knock on Pat and Bernard Lovell's house now. Now, I lived here. They were the neighbours who lived closest to us, really. I'm very good friends with my mum and dad. And I'm slightly apprehensive about this because it wouldn't surprise me if they say, hang on, you were a right little tearaway. Well, I know I was a tearaway, but what they remember of me is going to be a little bit worrying. Hello. Hello. Do you know Pat? Come here. Hey, you looked almost exactly how I remember you.
Really?
Yeah,
It's a long time, Dominic.
It's 40 odd years. How you doing? Hello, Bernard. Hello. How are you doing?
Very well,
I'll tell you what, I always remember you being a big, strong man. You've still got hands like shovels, haven't you? Well.
Sit down.
Now, I'll tell you, yeah, shuffle up. What's the say? Well, why not? We're ex-neighbours, aren't we? I'll tell you what I always remember about you, as a family, you had the very latest technology.
Yes, we were quite keen, yes.
And you'd got the first ever microwave, and no one had heard about what it was or what it did. You know, first ever microwave. I mean, now everyone's got them, haven't they? Do you feel the community has changed a lot over the years?
Yes, definitely.
I think it's changed enormously.
For the better or worse?
Well, it's for the worse, because we don't know many people down here at all now, whereas we used to know a lot.
People are working and moving on.
Well, I'll tell you what you might be interested in. I'm putting together this little meeting just down the road. We're going to try and put people together again. You know, put the community spirit back together. Pat, it's been so nice catching up. And you, Bernard. I'll see you about 4 o'clock, yeah?
Yes, thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. It was lovely meeting Pat and Bernard again. I mean, they're in their 80s now, and there were so many memories that just came flooding back, and they've hardly changed at all.
Pat and Bernard may have noticed that their community is not as open or as friendly as it once was. But on my travels, I've got the sense that community spirit is actually still around. It just needs a bit of a push sometimes. When people do rally round and make an effort, there's a genuine warmth and concern about those who live nearby. But what about those who don't fit in?
Community, of course, is a great word and wonderful when you feel a part of it.
For some, it's the isolation from the community that can cause immense loneliness, lack of confidence and depression.
You were brought up, what's about three-quarters of a mile away from here, is it?
Keith was once married, had a great job and his own home. One by one, he lost them all and now finds himself on the fringes of society. Jobless, alone and living in a temporary hostel, for Keith, community feels like a distant memory. Now his world is a very small place.
Sold the house, sold the car, sold all of your possessions.
Yeah.
Because looking in here, the only thing you seem to have not sold is the guitar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all I've got. It's my guitar.
So tell me about this guitar then.
Well, there's a story of that. Mum left me a little bit of money, and I went and bought that. So it reminded me of Mum, really, in a way. Yeah, yeah. I went and got that about 3 days after, you know, about 3 weeks after Mum died. It's one of the only few possessions, well, it is the only few possessions I've got.
How do you fill your day?
Keeping yourself active. Every day is you wake up, you eat, you walk. So you've always got that same cloud hanging over you of, well, where do I go from here? The loneliness creeps in. So you walk and then you might see a couple of things, you might see someone walking with their dog or a family together.
But you must feel that, you know, Christmas time, you're going to walk out of here, wander down the front, walk into town and see everybody Christmas shopping, families and everything else.
Yeah, you go downtown and there'll be things going on, there'll be families out and yeah, you'll be alone.
So tell me about loneliness for you.
Withdrawing, time, sometimes the days are all the same because if you decide to go for a walk, you're on your own. when you often wonder how you can be so alone. No, it's not good to have every day the same really, and nothing really on the horizon to sort of lighten the load. You're in a rut where you haven't got the confidence. There's not going to be no miracle cure. If I can get just halfway there, of sort of a little job and a little meeting people and a little bit of respect, self-respect, I think.
So do you find that it comes sort of hand in hand with loneliness,
Yeah.
that kind of thing? Because
Loneliness and confidence.
And then, of course, you're not motivated because
Yeah.
you've got more time to think.
Yeah, that's the one. Sometimes I think far too much.
I can see the spiral that Keith is in. His lack of self-worth means he just doesn't have the confidence to engage with others. And the lack of people wanting to talk to him makes him even less likely to spark up a conversation. It's as if he's invisible.
A lot of people live very difficult lives that we walk about not seeing or trying not to see. To be included, you have to be seen as socially valuable in society. And if you're not offering anything, then people won't include you, won't connect with you, won't engage with you. But there's a whole self-esteem issue as well, because you internalise the feelings of stigma that's attached to homelessness. People feel that quite profoundly within themselves. So it's not just other people's eyes they see it in, they also feel a mirror of that in terms of how they see themselves. But then, of course, if you don't view yourself very highly, you won't feel that others can view you very highly. So you're not going to put yourself out there because you don't think that other people will want to get to know you or have any value to add to the relationship. But also, you don't want to feel rejected again. So it can just go round and round in a circle, and your life will get smaller and smaller and smaller.
What's fascinating for me is you're chatting to a guy like Keith, who 20 years ago had everything, had wife, mortgage, house, everything to look forward to, and then nothing. But it's the effects that it can have on you in terms of the loneliness, the isolation, but also the lack of motivation for somebody that was obviously very outgoing. It'll be interesting to see how common that really is.
People feel vulnerable, they feel worthless, they feel that there's no point that they're in this world, nobody recognises them, and that just feeds a sort of spiral of decline where people just feel they've lost all self-esteem, they've lost their confidence, and if there's nobody in their life to recognise that and talk them out of it, then they're just going to keep going into that deep circle. I've heard people call it a chasm of despair, of loneliness. You know, it can go really, really deep.
Keith desperately needs to get back into society, and it seems he does hang on to a glimmer of hope.
I just recently enjoyed, for the first time, I know money's a bit short, but I tend to save up. I go every 3 matches, and I think I go just for the company, actually. I go to Southend United Football Club, and I sit there and I'm with the big crowd, and you're all sharing and all letting off steam. And I go alone, but I come out there, and you waved along with the crowd, and I think it's a sort of feeling, oh, I'm part of something.
Being part of something isn't too much to ask, and I'm convinced it's possible to open a few doors for Keith. With the people I've met so far, I've found that little gestures can make a huge impact.
That's real food.
It's just about demonstrating that all people are important, that everyone has something to offer.
I made it myself.
I've also found that there are plenty of people out there who will listen and make an effort.
I've been on top in the world.
It seems to me that the answer for Keith could lie in his love of football and his passion for music. The perfect excuse for a trip to the local.
Hi there, Dave.
Hi,
You're
James.
free?
Yes, I am.
Nice to meet you, James. Now, what an amazing place you've got here.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So tell me about what happens here then, because obviously music, looking at all what you've got in here.
Yeah, totally. Music pub, completely. It's we've got a grand piano, a Hammond organ, a harmonium, a double bass, house drum kit, a lot of amps.
Yeah.
And it's a place for mainly the local scene. And bands from out of town. We have bands from the States and bands from London and France and all over. But yeah.
So you guys were music based then, are you? Or?
Yeah, we were in a band ourselves as well. So it's sort of a place run by musicians for musicians and creative people in general.
So tell me about this open mic thing then. What's the idea of it?
It's just, well, just as open mics are, just a complete open platform for anybody who's got something to say, basically, who's got something to offer.
Now, I met somebody this morning that I found fascinating. A gentleman that's 60 years old, and through no fault of his own, and let's face it, can happen to anybody, who's found himself in a situation which he's ended up homeless. The only thing that he hasn't sold throughout his entire life is his guitar. I think by bringing him here and meeting like-minded people like yourself who are passionate about music, maybe it would start to open him up a little bit. Would you be open to that?
Definitely, yeah.
Totally we would, yeah.
The other part of it is if you did something like an open mic session, one thing, you know, it's the whole thing's about a confidence building thing.
And meeting people and just,
yeah, you wouldn't want to put him in a situation that you felt uncomfortable in, and it can be quite a cutthroat thing.
Yeah, no, it's not like that in here at all, is it? It's a very nice, welcoming crowd.
Yeah, we're very lucky with the crowd. They're very welcoming and encouraging.
It's great to know that this place is on his doorstep as well, so I shall speak to him and definitely bring him in.
Yeah, totally.
Good, it'd be nice to
Good. Now, I'm no musician, but what an amazing place that is. And I think Keith is going to love something like this. And these two are definitely going to look after him. It's time for the get-together, and Dom has done a wonderful job revving up a great sense of community, bringing people from all corners of this neighbourhood together.
White with one. I think this is going to be a very, very successful afternoon of tea drinking and cake eating, because everywhere I look now, there's a lot of these eyes looking at me and smiling, and I think just about everybody I spoke to has turned up, and a lot more. And these things, you never know how well they're going to go, but I'll tell you what, right now, it is packed out. I think a lot of friendships are probably going to be made, you know? I think it's going to be a real success.
It's great to see so many of the neighbours have turned up, and I'm especially pleased that Keith's made the effort to come along, because I've got something that I want to give him. And look who else has come along. It's lovely to see Stan, and I'm really excited about introducing him to Karen, who runs the local walking group. This is Stan.
Hi, Karen.
Right.
Lovely to meet you.
Have a seat.
I've heard all about you.
Now, this is somebody that I wanted you to meet, because, well, you can explain what you do.
Okay, yeah, so we have walking groups and it's very sociable, just get you moving really well.
Yes.
Which I understand is something
I don't think that's his problem more than anything else, because I've seen all the trophies that you've won as well. What were you still doing, 6-minute miles or something like that?
No, that was my best time, 6.2 minute mile. It's a long time since I've done anything, obviously.
You know, what were you looking for? What are you looking forward to in the session?
Really, I'm looking forward to meeting new people. That's the bottom line. People that live around me and I haven't known. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to leave you to chat. And while you're chatting, I know you're a fitness fanatic, but
It's all
I'm a
about
chef.
It's all about it, definitely.
I'm so glad you came. Margaret?
Yes, darling.
This is Doreen. She lives in Burn Drive.
I've been there 46 years.
Oh, I can't beat you because my dad bought the house. Top trumps you. She's top trumps you, Margaret.
Don't see you ever.
No. Lovely. Isn't that surprising?
Never met. No, never met one another.
So, where do you live? How long have you been living there?
51 years.
My God, that's a year after you was born.
A year after I was born.
What I love about this is exactly this noise, people talking, having a conversation.
Well, we must keep in touch. I'll come down and see you. Yeah, we do.
Great things can come because of just a simple chat.
It may not feel right just to go and knock on a few doors, but there are groups all over the UK that you can be part of that make those introductions easier. Dominic met up with Lynn from Age Concern Southend-on-Sea.
We offer a befriending service,
right,
which is 95 volunteers currently go out and see about 105 elderly people just because they're lonely.
And I've met a few people now who are mainly widowed, some divorcees, but lovely people living on their own. It's very hard to meet people when you get older in life, isn't it?
It is. So these befrienders, they're all volunteers. We try and match them up with people who've got the same interests, the same kind of outlook on life, but age is nothing. It doesn't matter about the age.
Lynn, I've met a couple of people today who I think will really benefit from your services. One of them is an old family friend. She's known me since I was just born, really. I want you to find a nice friend for her because she's a lovely lady. She really is. Lynn, I'd like to introduce you to Sheila. Sheila? Lynn?
Hi, Sheila. I can remember him as 10. Can you? I can remember him as 10.
Tell you what, I can't remember what I did last night.
Cheeky little boy.
Time for me to go. You ladies carry on chatting.
Thank you.
See you later.
Oh, and I'm Lynn, I'm the manager of Age Concern, and what we do is we do a befriender service, but we also do a driver's service. So if you have to get to hospital or you want to go to a day club or a day centre, then we have volunteer drivers who would drive you there. So rather than get us out, it helps you get out and about, really.
It's marvellous.
So how do you think it's gone today?
Look at that, it's a success, isn't it?
It's great, isn't it? The smile on your face, though, it's just...
Do you know what? Everybody I met was jolly anyhow, but there's a lot of them, they just needed to meet up with people that they hadn't spoken to for years. And in there, I mean, God, the conversation there is non-stop, isn't it?
But it's not costing any money, is it? That's the thing, it's a conversation. And what I've found on this journey is that just a simple little conversation can change lives.
Yeah, there's only good that can come out of this. There's no bad at all. You know, you've got people chatting, they're getting on. You know, I mean, listen to that, it's non-stop, isn't it?
But that's all you're doing, really, and that topic of conversation is just it's a magical thing.
Yeah.
So well, I want to thank you for being a part of it as well.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what, it's been a good day, thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
It's a pleasure.
You know, it's been a trip down memory lane.
Dom's happy, and our guests are happy, but one of them is about to get a whole lot happier. I've got a surprise for Keith.
After the conversation that we had, I thought how I could personally help.
Thank you.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, I've got you something, and I want you to take this from me.
Thank you very much.
All right? Now, obviously winter's coming on. You're going to need a scarf.
Oh, man.
Well, you've got the football club over there.
Yeah.
You've got your own beanie cap there. But you've got your own little wallet.
It is, lovely.
Now, in this wallet, and this is a personal thing from me, you've got your own season ticket. Your own seat. In the stand for every match. This season and next season.
Oh, thank you, James.
It's in your
Thank
name.
you very much.
I think they've spelt it right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
Mate, it's a pleasure. It's there.
Cheers. Oh, that's unbelievable.
It's a pleasure. In return for this, I want you to do something for me.
Yep. Yep.
Take your guitar.
Yep.
Go to this pub.
Yep.
Play your heart out.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Deal?
Deal. That's
Good.
a deal.
The following week, Stan teamed up with the walking group for the first time.
Hi, Stan, how are you? Are you okay? Lovely to see you. Hey, everybody, I've just got somebody to introduce you to. This is Stan and Ernie.
How do you do?
Okay, Lucy, and there's Betty.
Hello, Betty.
So I think we're all ready to go and stride and start learning something new.
Okay.
So tell about your athletics then.
Yeah.
What was your speciality?
Oh, well, sprinters. Originally, I coach sprinters all the time.
Yeah. So what we're doing is as we're lengthening up through the spine, we're actually making space between our vertebrae, so they work really well.
I'm pleasantly surprised, really. I haven't done any exercise for a long, long time, and it was nice just to stretch out a little bit, you know. So, yeah, I did enjoy it.
So how long have you lived where you live now?
About 63 years, something like that. They were still building it down my road. There was a builder's barrow on where our lawn is there in the front. And yeah, I carried Vicky over the threshold. All the workmen cheered, they did. Yeah, we got this could motivate me for sure to get out a little bit more than I have done. Just make me feel better, really, be with people, which is really what I miss so much. You know. I've always been active and in the past, and this hopefully will reintroduce all that. You know, I grow something that I've never done. I grew peanuts one year, not enough to eat. They didn't materialise to eat.
It's really great to see Stan not only active, but also socialising. He's a lovely man, and I really hope that even after the passing of his beloved wife Vicky, that he can once again find happiness and contentment.
Good evening, Dave. Hello, mate.
It's the open mic night at Keith's Local, and he's headed down there with his guitar in hand.
Don't you think it's kinda sad? The dreams of when I'm dying are the best I've ever had. It's a mad world. It's a mad world.
Made me feel more complete tonight. With that incentive, I know I can do it. It's just the first step. And yeah, if I keep on doing it, it's going to become easier. And so it's lifted. Lifted is the word. It's lifted me out of the zone of feeling pretty useless, really, pretty a burden to people. It's allowed me to think again that there is another way. Open the door. That there is another way. Yeah. Yeah.
My trip to Southend has been an interesting one, but yet quite a difficult one, because the issue of loneliness in men is actually rife throughout society. And let's face it, me, like most blokes, find it so difficult to talk about it.
Did you have more than just a t-shirt on that day, or did you just?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had bottoms on the top. Yeah.
Good, come on.
Yeah.
And by just feeling included, it can make such a big difference.
Well, I need you, baby. I give myself the blame.
If you yourself are feeling lonely or want to get involved in helping people who feel isolated, you can find useful contact details on our programme website.
bbc.co.uk/action line, or get a pen ready for the helpline number at the end of the programme. There are organisations near you who can help tackle loneliness, and plenty of opportunities to volunteer and help others. But small things can make a huge difference too. Why not take more interest in the people who live on your street and keep an eye out for them? Next time on Operation Meet the Street, Alex Jones takes me back to Ammanford, the Welsh mining town she grew up in.
Lovely. We love a bit of a do
Exactly.
around here.
We meet the locals
Very good. Tonight.
and find out the perfect hiding place for men with time on their hands.
This has already woken me up to a whole new horizon.